alive and well and living in Vancouver? Well, maybe not, but her reincarnation is. At least that's what Laurel Phelan says. She discovered 10 years ago that she had a past life, that past life being Lady Guinevere. The remembrances were so strong that she wrote them down in a screenplay which received a tremendous amount of attention and is now being made into a film. Laurel Phelan joins us from London, where she is scouting locations for this film. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, thank you.
I should think that the first reaction a lot of people have is intense skepticism. You are Lady Guinevere, or were? What's that all about?
Actually, surprisingly enough, I haven't come across much skepticism at all. When people understand the story, they have been very open-minded and quite receptive to it.
Tell us the story. How did you discover this?
When I was 22, I started having nightmares, violent nightmares of myself being a woman called Guinevere, which was her Celtic name. And I went through some past life therapy and discovered that I was Guinevere. And there were the other people around, Arthur, Merlin, etc. And then I put it away for 5 years, and when I was 27, the nightmares came back again. And I did a little more research into it under past life regression again, and found out again that I was Guinevere. Looked at it a little more closely, found myself in very violent situations because she was a very powerful woman and a very egotistical woman.
I was going to say, this couldn't have been historical research because you would have come up with something different than what you had in your dreams. A violent woman, a strong woman?
The research was through regression, which is a hypnotic technique, a light hypnosis trance.
Well, what about this woman? Tell me more about her. I'm fascinated.
Well, she was a fascinating woman. Actually, legend really hasn't done her justice. They've toned her down quite a bit. She was brought up by her father. She was born in Northumbria. She was brought up and taught to lead her people. She was taught how to use a sword, how to ride a horse. And she was raped when she was 14, and that caused her to withdraw into herself and withdraw her emotions inside. She basically was brought up to be a man. And she married Arthur for power and to join his people, which were in the south, and hers from the north, and form a greater structure to keep the Saxons out of England. And so when she married Arthur, she married him for power. He wanted a wife. He wanted someone to have his children. She wanted to fight. She was trained in battle strategy, and it was very frustrating for her not to be able to go out into battle with him. And she had a lot of ways of manipulating men. She was taught by Merlin, who wasn't a magician. He was actually a wise man and a counselor. She was taught by him how to use her femininity, how to use her womanhood, but she still kept her emotions inside. So it was a real struggle in her life to come to terms with her femininity, to come to terms with her emotions, and allow herself to let go of the idea of having to rule and having to be out there with the men in battle. So
you don't see evidence of all these myths of chivalry and of beautiful courtships and relationships?
No, it was the Dark Ages. She was born in 482 AD, and it was a very brutal time. People were ruthless. The mythology was created by a writer called Geoffrey of Monmouth, and he was the one who created the fantastic fairy tale and the romance. And then another writer, Sir Thomas Malory, took that fairy tale and embellished it even more and created the knights in shining armor, the round table. There was none of that at that time. There was no magic. People used herbs, which would now be considered hallucinogenics. So that, you can see how that could have been misinterpreted as magic, when actually it was simply herbs.
How clear is all this stuff to you? It sounds like you're talking about someone you know.
It's very clear. You're right in the body when you're in a regression. You feel everything. You can see in great detail everything that's around you. So I can get details of what the fortification looked like, what the clothing was like, their eating utensils, etc. It's very, very vivid, and it follows a distinct pattern, unlike a dream, which is very scattered. When you're in a regression, everything follows a pattern. So you're very alert and very clear.
And your script, I gather, is very vivid also. People thought, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like that before.
Very much. It's creating a lot of worldwide attention. The people in the film business who have read it, most are saying that they believe it's the best screenplay to have come out in the last 10 years, which is wonderful for me. I feel very honored by them.
I should think so. And you're now scouting locations, so you have gone to the place which was considered to have been Camelot,
right,
in the days of King Arthur. What happened to you when you went there? Did you feel any of this stuff?
Oh, very much so. First, when I went up on the place, it's called Cadbury Hill in Somerset in the southwest of England, it was like coming home. You know, it was very emotional for me. I felt exhilarated. I just wanted to run and run and run. And it was a wonderful, very uplifting experience. And I went to where her grave is. Her grave was discovered in the late 1100s by some monks. She was buried on top of Arthur. And that was a very traumatic experience for me. It was a lot of grief came up when it's hard to explain what it's like to stand on your own grave.
This is bizarre. And you tell me you're not greeted by skepticism when you tell the story?
No, not at all. Because people understand that to write a screenplay, an epic screenplay, it takes up to a few years. I wrote this screenplay in 2 weeks. There's no way. I would be fooling myself to think that I could create an epic screenplay in 2 weeks when I've never written anything in my life beforehand.
And I guess maybe this is the only screenplay there, if that's the life you're dealing with.
Probably is, yes. And I'm aware of that.
I can't wait to see the movie.
Great.
Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Canada.